Oh my gosh.
And we have like 2 people signed in already. Wow. Yay. Ah.
And the crowd goes wild.
So what are we going to do this evening? Well, we have a ton of new rum. Oh my gosh, including a very special bottle that I would not have found out about if it weren't for one of the members of our studio audience, who decided upon seeing the description and hearing the description of the bottle and the spirit contained in there said, what could possibly be more Lovecraftian than this rum? So, yes, so we went in and split a bottle of that particular rum because, wow, yeah. But that's not what we're going to be starting with this evening. There may be, yeah, I think we might be doing some drinking of that afterwards, but probably not during the show. What we are going to start with is a toast. And we are going to use one of the rums that we picked up on our trip down and back from Atlanta, which is the, where is it? It is here. It is
We have Cheryl.
Hey, Cheryl. We have the Appleton Estate 15-year Black River cask. So single estate Jamaican rum. This is one of Joy Spencer's blends. She's the master distiller at Appleton. As Bruce says, I've never had a bad Appleton, so this is probably going to be quite tasty. Aged 15 years, which is sort of an unusual expression, or age minimum of 15 years. Most of the time, I mean, you can get their 12-year all the time. 12 years rock solid, good rum. I keep that on the bar at all times. I have their 21-year as a sipping rum. It's very, very nice, but this sits right in the middle. No clue. I'm just expecting it to be yummy. So we're going to go and we're going to drink. And I think we should just raise a toast to female master distillers, because, you know, why not?
All right, love it. Don't forget to
Just do a little quick taste here.
I don't think
We've got a fair amount to drink this evening, so we're not going to be knocking back full shots of this. All right, so there's the 15-year Appleton
I'll
Estate.
come behind the bar.
Are we? We're all
Yeah.
going
We're all
to
gonna
cram
toast.
behind the bar. Stick that back over here. Dun dun dun.
All right, you guys get in here. Okay.
Pooch, Amanda, Star, Bruce.
Hey.
Tonight we are Lovecraft cocktails.
Yeah.
So here we go. There's there.
Thank you.
To Joy.
To Joy.
And female distillers everywhere.
Yeah.
And of course Appleton, because
Yeah.
why not? Pooch sticks his nose in, swirls it around. It's a distinctly Appleton nose, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
That is very Appleton.
One of the interesting things I like about Appletons is you're not going to mistake them for being something other than a Jamaican rum. But they aren't I'm going to tie you down and slap you across the face, hogo,
Right.
you know, funk forward rum.
A little more elegance.
Mm-hmm.
And then it hits you. The sugar comes in.
Little higher ABV than the 12.
I think so. Because I feel it.
I don't honestly know.
Definitely tastes.
No, it's 43.
Hmm.
43%, which...
Well, if it's just open, it's going to taste a little hotter
Right,
than
right.
after it mellows a bit. So you can definitely taste a few more years of wood. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yet, we were talking about this earlier, it hasn't reached that point of all I'm getting is
Right.
gnawing
Yeah.
on a stick. You know,
Yeah.
which, well, I've had Chardonnays that tasted that way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
So what are we going to do this evening? I had no ideas, and so when Bruce offered up a few suggestions of drinks, I went, sure, fine, let's do that. So that's what we're going to do this evening. He just scrounged up some recipes that he thought looked good, and we're going to go with that. The first thing that we're going to do is a riff on the daiquiri, and this is probably a little bit drier than you would expect from most daiquiris, because we're pulling the entire sugar component out of it, and we're replacing it with banana liqueur. So this is like quite possibly the world's simplest banana daiquiri, but we'll see how it goes, right? So there are 4 of us, so I'm going to have to do 2 of these, right? Let's do that. Okay, so we're going to start with 2 ounces of light rum. You know, I could do, I've got the Hidden Harbor White here. I could do a second that is a different white rum if folks would like. Someone want to grab me the Plantation 3-Star right there? Yes, it's next to the Cuban. Oh, it's not open. Oh no. Oh, that's right, because I finished the bottle last week.
The bottle last week.
When I was coming downstairs, I looked at the rack of wines and overflow rums that we have, and there was a blank spot on there. I'm like, what did I take off of there? There has to be something. It was like, oh yeah, it's the Plantation 3-Star that we always have there. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So we're going to go 2 ounce. Well, I'm going to start off with always start off with either the cheap ingredient or the thickest ingredient. I like to do the thickest ingredient and then use the citrus to kind of clear out the jigger. But in this case, our thick, heavy, sugary ingredient is banana liqueur, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with the lime juice first of all. And the lime juice in this case is 3/4 of an ounce, which is pretty much in line with my daiquiri. I generally go equal portions of sugar and lime juice in my daiquiri, which is 2 ounces of rum and 3/4 of an ounce of whatever sweetener you're using and 3/4 ounce of lime juice. So the lime juice is 0.1 for my usual measurements. So we're just going to go ahead and do 3/4. 3/4. And then we take a strategic pause and sip some Black River rum.
That's yummy.
That is quite yummy. At least one review that I read of the Black River said, you know, this is a good rum, but you might as well just go ahead and spend the extra money and get the 21 year. Like, I like the Black River. You know, I think that's a solid, respectable, quite yummy rum.
And it's a lot less than the.
Right. It's more. It's obviously it's more than the 12-year, and you know it probably makes an amazing cocktail. But I'm not going to be doing a lot of cocktails with a 15-year-old rum for the most part.
You don't feel bad opening it.
Right.
It's
Absolutely.
21 is like, oh, on special occasions, but.
Yep, 21 would be, you know, oh, hey, this wonderful thing happened. Let's sip on some 21-year-old rum, or, you know, let's make daiquiris with the 21-year-old rum. All right, we need banana liqueur, and I had my choice. I could use the Gifford's banana, or I could use the creme de banana liqueur from Tempest Fugit, and I don't get a chance to use this quite as much. We finally did get rid of the De Kuyper. So, you know, otherwise one of these would be the De Kuyper, as I tried to get rid of a little more of this. The recipe actually calls for just a 1/2 ounce of the banana liqueur, which is probably, it's not going to be as sweet as the daiquiris I usually make, but I think 3/4 of an ounce of especially the Tempest Fugit, and you would just taste banana. That's all you would get. All right, so there we go. But this is going to be a little drier cocktail than your usual. So next up is the rums. We're going to go 2 ounces of the Hidden Harbor White Rum. This is a blend of American, Jamaican, Guyanese, Martinican, Bajan, and Trinidadian rums. Say that fast. No, thank you.
That's a lot. They must have finished up a bunch of barrels.
Yeah.
Specially blended for Hidden Harbor, the Tiki Cocktail Bar in Pittsburgh. And available around. It's not the easiest thing to find, but I think we got our bottle in the district.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, you're not going to find it at Virginia ABC stores, but and then your Plantation 3-Star is Jamaican, Barbados, and Trinidad. So yeah, 3 as opposed to 5 or 6 or however many rums that was. Man, I can smell the Hidden Harbor rum though. Whew. It's cutting through the incense. All right, there's the plantation. Move this over here.
We haven't given Flint Candle Company a shout out in a while.
Have we not?
Ah, speaking of the incense.
Speaking of, where's my ice scoop? There it is. Okay. All right. Throw a bunch of ice in there. Throw a comparable amount of ice. This is not like last week when we were. Was it last week or the week before where I was counting ice cubes? So, I forget what we were doing, but we needed to count ice cubes to make sure
That things were even.
Yeah, was it? We were doing with different different grenadines, and
Right.
everything needed to be exactly the same.
Right.
Because science.
Science! We needed a control. Aha. Yay. Hey, any shake where I don't wind up with some of it on me is a good shake, right? Or the customer, patron, whatever.
Oh, we've got a Greg.
Hidden Harbor. Like, wait, which one? Right, okay, so it's Hidden Harbor on the left. We're going to double strain this. Because, you know, daiquiris. Double strain your daiquiris. And where are we?
And do you double strain usually because like the syrup might be thicker or something, or?
Double straining because of the amount of ice chips.
Oh.
Because you're shaking for quite a while. You want this icy, icy cold. That's general rule with daiquiris. But you also want them, yeah, you don't want ice shards in them. And yes, we are splitting cocktails here. So this would normally be one cocktail, obviously. Okay. That goes up here. Here are the two Hidden Harbors. And here we have the two
Take one of
plantations.
those, Amanda, and get me one, and then we can let Bruce and Cooch try the other. We're gonna do the Hidden Harbor. Or the two Hidden Harbor.
I don't know how you guys want to do this. I don't really care. We're just going to taste them all.
Ruth loves your shirt.
I'm going to take a taste of this one. This is the plantation.
Mm.
That's a delightful little daiquiri. I'm not sure I'm getting a lot of banana off of it, though.
I think I upped the banana like a quarter ounce.
Yeah, which would bring us right back to 3/4, right? Yep.
But it also depends on how, if you really like it limey, then it's
Yeah.
probably perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that.
Oh. How's the Hidden Harbor?
Good. I'll bring the Hidden Harbor up for you to try, and then I'll try yours. See that sharp.
It is. Yours not as sharp.
The joys of being married.
Yeah.
We can share cocktails.
Wonder why you guys notice that as well? That the Hidden Harbor smoother than plantation?
Now, I'm also wondering if my food is, my salsa is.
I think it's your salsa.
is affecting my
So,
my taste buds. I got like pinched. It was like, whoop.
It is citrusy.
Yeah.
so there's a difference tonight. I don't know if You can tell. But I have my phone because Pooch got a new phone. So we're using Pooch's phone for the camera.
The Hidden Harbor
Uh-huh.
has Martinique rum in it.
Huh?
So
Oh,
there's
so
a
it's got
hint of
some
that grassy agricole note to it that the plantation just totally doesn't have. Who knows what the American rum is that's going into the Hidden
Right.
Harbor? We can always hope that it's something from, Privateer.
I'm going to steal this and give it to Bruce.
Ah, yes.
that
So straws.
You want to try various things. I tried both, so give that a try. I'm sure by 5 drinks we'll be forgetting.
I think I like the plantation better
You get more funkiness
in the Hidden Harbor. Yeah.
I like the Hidden Harbor better.
I think they're both good, but I think but I also think that funkiness makes it taste less citrusy. I mean,
Yeah.
So
So
this is
Chris-
also, I think, a difference in what people want from their daiquiri,
Mhm.
right? I usually like really complex cocktails. I'm not looking for complexity from my daiquiri. I
Yeah.
want a light,
If
crisp,
I'm
bright.
ordering a banana daiquiri, I want more banana.
I
Yep.
do too. I like
Yep.
the sweet.
I think if you give us a quarter ounce or half ounce, we can top off our.
Here is a plastic cup from Old Town Cocktail Week.
Yes.
And if only I had a little more banana liqueur.
Chris says they're drinking Barbados Dawawikis. Oh, that was supposed to be daiquiris.
How many of you had, Chris?
Right.
So here we go. Here is some banana liqueur, and there is a
Jigger, and we
Jigger
add to
that
our
you can-
heart's
yep.
content.
There
Yep.
you go.
play around, have some fun.
He said like what, another quarter ounce?
I think that would be maybe.
Actually, so an eighth
Eighth.
would bring it up to,
To equal portions with the
Equal
lime.
portions.
Yeah.
throw in an eighth, see what it's like. Decide to add.
So you may have noticed that I was drinking something out of this Old Town Cocktail Week cup. And the second cocktail that we're going to do is Jungle Bird. And the Jungle Bird classically requires a blackstrap rum. And I don't generally like blackstrap rum, so I don't carry a blackstrap rum in the 160 rums that I have. Oh my gosh. But I did have some Goslings, which is a nice solid black rum. And I wanted a little bit of Jamaican flavor to it. So I added a little bit of Dr. Bird to it. And so what I have is a custom mix here. This would be the Jungle Bird rum that we're going to use for this evening. And that's all it is. It's Gosling's dark or Gosling's black rum and a little bit of Dr. Bird mixed in. And I was just sipping that and going, that was a really nice combination. It's like 5 ounces, like 5-to-1 ratio of the Goslings to Dr. Bird. And that just, I was afraid if I got too much Dr. Bird in there, it would kind of overwhelm it. And so that's what we're going to do for the Jungle Birds.
So what do you call that? Your little mix.
What do I call that mix? I call that the mix that I'm going to use for my Jungle Birds. Right? So here's the thing. I'm Gosbird, right? This is not something I carry around and have all the time. But I needed something to make the Jungle Birds with. And so this was I know I want a black rum that's got some of those caramel notes in it that you usually get from black rums and from the caramel flavoring that's added back into them. And I wanted a little funk from a Jamaican. And because that's the other way you can go with the Jungle Bird is you can just go a full-on, like, serious Jamaican rum. So I thought that would be a good mix. And, hey, yay, knocked it out of the park on the first try. So, well, hopefully it'll make a nice Jungle Bird. We're going to be doing three variations on the Jungle Bird this evening. We have a comment, but I'm talking. No, just kidding.
Mr. Greg.
Mr. Greg.
I'm drinking rum straight tonight. No
Yes.
ginger ale,
Yes.
no Coke.
We win!
I can do that since you steered me to some decent rum.
Yes. Yay! So, Greg, which rum are you drinking this evening? I will want to know what Greg is drinking this evening.
Just try it, yeah. Robert, you've already put it in, so you can have it. Well, I'll let you know when he answers.
And I will need. I do have more of these, but in the interest of doing too much hand washing this evening, I will need your tasting glasses back, because we have some rums to get through in terms of tastings. And the second one up is a serious rum. I mean, the 15-year Black River isn't a slouch, but the next rum's a serious rum. Is the newest release from Foursquare. So Foursquare releases multiple times a year these rum in their exceptional cask series. And we are going to be drinking, the most recent release of that, which is their Indelible. Now, ordinarily, I would go to my usual purveyors in the district to get me a bottle of the most recent exceptional cask. But as it turned out, we were on a road trip to Atlanta, and I was able to procure a bottle and said, sometimes we have supply problems, and I've been hearing really good things about this rum. I don't want to miss out on it, so we just picked up a bottle. So to all of my friends in DC that were hopefully counting on me to come and buy a bottle of Indelible from them, I'm sorry. Unless it's really, really good, and then I may be visiting you again. So one of the interesting things about this particular rum is that a number of years back, Foursquare released a Zinfandel cask as part of their Zinfandel cask rum as part of their exceptional cask series, and it was met with pretty high praise and reviews. And so they have gone back to the barrel, as it were, and this is ex-bourbon and ex-Zinfandel casks blended together. Yes.
That's interesting.
So,
what were your thoughts of the Zinfandel? Did you have?
I have the Zinfandel. I still have some of the Zinfandel. I generally am a little skeptical of rum aged in wine barrels. I generally find the tannins come through a little too much, and there were a couple of occasions where, like El Dorado did a series of liqueur and wine cask rums, and I have to say, for the most part, those were all misses for me. El Dorado has just recently re-released or released again or done another Sauterne cask rum, and I thought the Sauterne cask El Dorado was the worst of the bunch, quite frankly. I was like, no, you're layering sweet upon sweet, and it was just not good.
Greg is drinking the Plantation 5-year.
Nice.
Camilla says hi.
Hi, Camilla.
Christine says our recipe called for dark rum. We used Bacardi 8 they had in the cabinet. What would you recommend they buy?
There's nothing wrong with a Bacardi 8. In fact,
And Brooke wants to
there's
see
a Bacardi 8 right here. So obviously, yeah, there's nothing wrong with a Bacardi 8.
And you have the new.
The new Indelible?
Yeah. Brooke wants to see the label.
Got it. It's like, please make sure you have it before I hand it to you.
I agree with you on the wine. They did that in Scotch too.
Yep.
And the ones that were in like Burgundy and Bordeaux casks, I thought added a weird wine flavor.
I think Scotch aged in wine barrels does better than rum aged in wine barrels for some strange reason. There's something about the Scotch profile that works better.
Well, the sherry, I mean, the sherries and the ports, I think, tend to work really well historically.
Mm-hmm.
And Madeira, although the Sauterne, the Nectar d'Or that Glen Morangi cut out with, I think works really well for that product. But then again, Scotch is dry. I wouldn't have done that with a rum. I think maybe if you did a rum agricole that started out really dry and you had it in a fairly extracted Sauterne barrel, it would just add like a hint of sweetness.
Foursquare Indelible. Not untypical of the exceptional casks. I don't think the nose is very prominent.
You get that really dark flavor underneath. I like it. The wine barrel.
Right. Can I pick up wine notes on the nose? I don't.
A little.
And also, the bottle is just opened, so you know, which we always know is makes for a tight bottle. You know, give it 10-15 minutes and it'll open up some.
But yeah, I think that grapey finish. I mean, I definitely think that that's there compared to the other stuff we've had.
That's, yeah. There is a jammy characteristic to this, which I would not have picked it out as Zinfandel, but yep. I also don't remember. It's probably a little hotter than.
Yeah,
it's 48%, so it's not.
Yeah. And brand new. It tastes. I was going to say it tastes closer to 50.
Yeah.
I wonder if you took like a glass, you rinsed it out with this Zinfandel, and you poured it in regular bourbon.
How it would taste?
Yeah, I think you get it.
Probably not well.
That's the Foursquare indelible.
Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, that's definitely a sipping rum. All the subtle notes there are going to be lost if you put them in a cocktail. There's no reason to do that. Yeah.
I just think of indelible ink.
It'll never leave you. Right? I'm not sure that's the case with this rum. A little water.
I was seeing if our house guest wanted to make an appearance, but
I will go seek her out.
She is like all the way upstairs in the closet again,
That's my
probably.
guess.
Yep.
I only went up one level.
Rinse mouth out with a little bit of water. Taste again. There's definitely a aged wine characteristic to that, especially at the back end. Yep. I'm not sure I would have picked it out without having a clue or two. It was like, oh, that's an unusual finish. But yep, yeah.
It's probably the only way I like red wine.
Mm-hmm.
It's dulled by rum.
All right. So the jungle bird. So what's in a jungle bird? So jungle bird is classically some form of simple syrup, lime juice, pineapple juice, an amaro of some sort. The classic jungle bird is Campari. We're actually going to do 3 different variations on that this evening. So we're going to use 3 different amaros, and then a black strap or black Jamaican rum or really deep Jamaican rum. And we're going to use the custom blend I was referring to earlier. My wife doesn't like Campari. So often when I'm making jungle birds, I will make hers with Aperol. And we've done that for a couple of people, and they all seem to like them not quite as bitter with the Aperol. So we're going to do that. But then the other element of that is that we also have a bottle of Grand Classico from Tempus Fugit, which is sort of their answer to the Campari Aperol theme. So we're going to do those 3. That's the plan anyway. Oh, and the wife she has in fact already rinsed these out for me. So we're going to start the jungle bird, and we're going to put the jungle birds in bird glasses this evening. Because we can. Yeah, why not? All right, so I am going to actually up the pineapple quotient a little bit with this because oh yeah, we're fine. So we were actually at Inuhele, the tiki convention we went to. There was a long discussion about like how long can you keep your syrups for, and there's very much a like, until it starts fermenting, you're fine, molding. Right? If it's molding, it's bad. If it's got kind of a metallic taste to it, or if it's actively bubbling, you're bad, right? There was a little outgassing of this syrup. I'm not too worried about it. I think we'll be fine. There's no funky aromas or anything coming off of this. This is
relatively clear. It's
yes,
not cloudy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's I just shook it and it's got some sediment on the bottom because but it's fine. So this is a pineapple oleo. So I think that'll just kick up the pineapple bit a little, and will be very nice. So half ounce.
Who were the guys that made the that had the Orgeat panel?
That was the Luau lads
Luau
from Florida. I don't remember where in
It
Florida.
really sounds like a fun event. I used to go to Tails like every other year in New Orleans, and they would have similar programs.
Yeah, I mean, Tails is a much larger event and is, you know, industry wide,
Right.
as opposed to, hey, let's get together and throw a bunch of rum in glasses. It was much more than, it was a lot of fun. I got to meet Jeff Barry. I got him to sign books.
Nice.
Yeah.
Blushing.
I was wearing something that clued him
You
in.
were wearing your jersey.
Oh, right. I was wearing my Miskatonic University jersey. Jeff was like, oh, Miskatonic University, did you graduate? I said, you don't graduate from Miskatonic. You just get a terminal degree. He thought that was fantastic. He laughed and chuckled. And, yep. So yeah, I thought that was like totally cool. Totally geeked out. Got books signed by him. He's such a nice guy. Oh my gosh, he's so nice. You know, the man is almost single-handedly responsible for the Tiki revival. He could be a complete ass and would, you know, and be deserving of that. But no, he's just the nicest, kindest guy. All right, half ounce of lime juice. So come back here.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Latitude 20.
Right. It's like upstairs, and what's cool is it's like he has this whole little grass track tiki bar in the middle. Go up there.
Latitude 29 is actually it's the hotel bar for that hotel. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No,
Are you
upstairs
thinking
is,
Tiki Tolteca?
Tolteca.
Oh,
Which
that's-
is upstairs.
Right,
Yep.
right. I'm like,
That's
wait, that's not.
No, that's right. That's what I'm thinking. Right. I went to both. We had drinks downstairs, and then we had upstairs.
Yeah, because they're on the same block.
Yeah, exactly.
Tiki Tolteca unfortunately has now closed. They only do events, so they're no longer open to the public, which, you know, is sad. Very glad that I have a mug from them, but
Right.
we have 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice. Sorry, it's not fresh squeezed. It's dole from a can, because
Hopefully in the reopening, they will have more.
yeah, I'm kind of hoping that we do see more tiki bars open as things go along. When we see folks that are doing like tiki pop-ups. So it was a tiki pop-up in Del Rey that we went to. So people are trying. You know, some of this is probably just cashing in on tiki and the name and, you know, the theme, but
They should hire you as tiki consultant.
you know, as long as I'm not having to work behind the bar,
Right.
tiki consult. We were literally sitting there talking about what could they do to improve, and it's like, well, improve the grenadine and improve the orgeat, and your drinks would be like much better. Okay, so we're gonna go with Campari, and then we're gonna go with the Gran Classico to start with. I think that's the right thing to do here. Where's my Campari? Campari.
Now's the time more than ever. I would say now's the time we need tiki more than ever when people can't travel as
Yeah.
easily and freely.
Well, and that, you know, tiki is very much about escape, and you know, what better time to escape than right now?
Yeah.
Y'all got to remember, Campari is on my left. I need to do this. Campari on the left.
On your left.
My left. And then the Gran Classico.
Yeah, I've never used that in a cocktail yet. You know,
And yes, I probably should, because we don't need the Campari in there, right? Go away.
now, can you get the smell? My friend likes bitter stuff, and she always can get the smell of any cocktail I put Campari in. It like hits her right away.
No, it's the taste.
Well, it is very strong.
Yeah, Campari to my taste is like gnawing on a grapefruit rind. That's that same bitter, sour component. Aperol is a lot more orangey
Sure.
and a lot less bitter, pithy. Now we need 1.5 ounces of rum in here. Sorry.
I mean, there was a time I think Apple Spritz for a brief moment was like the most popular drink in.
We
Yeah.
Right.
several years ago we went on a trip to Italy and Greece and a little around the Mediterranean, and the Aperol Spritz was like everywhere here, and I was like, oh, I'm going to Europe. Thank God I will get away from the Aperol. No, it was everywhere.
I was in Milan and we visited Ari's bar there and had Aperol Spritzes. All very nice.
Well, the nice thing also about the Aperol Spritz is it's a low ABV cocktail for the most part. You can sit there and sip those things
Right.
all night or all day long.
Idea.
And it was a really hot summer
Right.
that year that we were there.
Mhm.
Those few weeks we were there, sorry. And sitting there with monuments in front of us, just having a blast, drinking Aperol Spritzes on the steps of... it was just great. It was just gorgeous. It was so nice.
The birthday cake.
The birthday cake, yes. Which is the in Rome, the central shrine, I guess it is, monument to Italian unification.
Right.
And there's a couple of restaurants that are essentially across the street from it, which, are tourist traps, but there's just something about sitting there with a great big bowl of Aperol Spritz in your hand, staring at that going, right, I'm in Rome. Life doesn't get much better than this.
Pretty good. I don't get people that don't go to Rome because they say it's like a big city. It's like, yeah, but it is like a million years old.
Yeah.
It's
a big city, and it has been for thousands of years. Yeah.
And they have stuff from Romans.
Right. Okay, so let's see. What are we going to do here? We're going to go scoop of ice. Scoop of ice in the other one. I do not have 3 arms, so there's no way I can shake 3 of these at the same time.
Will you help you?
No, because otherwise I'd have to make the other one right. So behind. So we're going to do 2 at a time.
I'll bring my shaker the next time.
And let's see. What are we going to do? We have the Inuhele mug with the blue, with the green background.
Uh-huh.
We'll use that for the Campari. The orange for the Aperol.
Okay.
How's that? All right. So we're going to do this again. I'm going to flip these over. Keep messing that up. Sit for a moment, and then we're going to fill these at least halfway. These are probably much bigger than they need to be for these drinks, so I'm going to put like a scoop of crushed ice in each one. I think is probably about right. Hello down there! Oh my gosh, these mugs are big. Okay. Now, if I were really adept at this, I would strain both of them at the same time. Can I do that?
Really?
Do I risk
Okay.
that?
Might be risky.
It might be.
Here we go.
Put this here. Put this one here. Oh, with me?
Here
Yeah.
it goes.
Woo-hoo! Woo!
Such coordination.
I knew how nervous I was right now. It's like, hey, I gotta move. It's like kissing. I have to move the noses out of the way.
Uh-huh.
All right. So there we go. We have 2 Inuhele. Oh, those came out right about the same level. That's good. We're going to go straws in these. And glass bamboo straws from
Surfside
Sips.
Sips.
Go. And what I can do is I can also hand out some additional straws if people want to taste. So this is the Campari Jungle Bird.
Did you want to taste it first?
Sure, fine. Yeah, probably have to.
Yeah, the cook always tastes
I'm going to hand you these straws. You can do that. I'm going to reach over and grab one of these, a little deeper.
There's a cocktail making machine museum of food and beverage in New Orleans.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's
Ooh.
from like the 1900s.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
And that's the Grand Classico. Hmm.
What do you think?
I think I should custom blend rums for drinks more often.
It's not that far off.
No, I don't think they're very far off at all.
No,
I like this
that's
one.
good.
You like the Grand Classico better?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I honestly, I was like, there's a difference, but it's it's pretty
I'm gonna wait for the apple.
right.
You get
So
more of a darker flavor from the Grand Classico.
so again, ½ ounce of syrup.
Also, citizen.
½ ounce of
Mhm.
Oh, it's all mine.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's going to be very,
½ ounce of lime. One and a half of pineapple. Three-quarters of Aperol.
it's a good recipe. It knits together very nicely.
It does, surprisingly. I mean, you don't normally think of Amaros as being
Right.
ingredients for tiki cocktails. And I mean, this is a 1970s era cocktail. This is Raffles in Thailand, no, in Indonesia, Kuala Lumpur, cocktail. And then 1.5 ounces of a blackstrap or dark Jamaican, or in this case, Goslings and Dr. Bird, right?
Osprey.
But the octopus is fancy.
Yes, the octopus is having fun.
So I keep smacking him around. You're into that sort of thing, aren't you? It's like, how do you think I wound up as a bunch of bones? All right. And look at that. I even have a little bit more. Yeah.
Make more.
Make more. Drink up. We'll make more. Oh, we need more cute dice. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, but that's what I think it's good that it makes it not cloying. You know, that keeps it not too sweet.
Right.
It's strong enough that it's pushed out by the other ingredients.
Well, and I really like the fact that we have figured out that just swapping Aperol and Campari makes it sweeter for me and cuts the sweetness for food and lets us have two of the same cocktail that we both really enjoy.
Very much more orangey in color because of the Aperol. Smaller glass, too.
We're drinking a jungle bird in a jungle bird.
Right.
But cheers. But it's all made out of fruit too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Awesome jungle bird.
Yeah, you'll like that one. There you go. I miss the little
I'll let
bit
you.
of bitter from it. Yep.
More.
Yep.
Well, the other thing you can do with this stuff is you don't have to use it at full strength. You can do a Campari rinse.
Mm-hmm. Or I could split Campari and Aperol or something along those lines. Yep.
That's with Aperol.
So Campari, Grand Classico, or Aperol.
Uh-huh.
I like that one better.
Star wins again, right?
Yes.
No, that's a good combo.
I'm the Kool-Aid kid, so my sweet.
Well, and you can play around with other Amaras. You could use Montenegro in this. You could use Sfumato. You could use Chinar.
That's the thing. I'd wonder how a darker Amaro would play with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have the Sfumato one. Is it the rhubarb
Yep.
one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's fun.
It is. It is almost more. I think it actually is more bitter and astringent than the Campari, but it is still much less than, say, Fernet Branca, which you cannot do this drink in these proportions with Fernet Branca. You just taste. Don't do this with Malort either. Jaeger, maybe, but it would be weird.
I have the Campari 50%. Not the Campari, the Chinar 50% that they came out with a while back. And so that's like fun for cocktails because it adds, it's a little more stronger than the regular Chinar.
So taking a sip of each of the 3 Jungle Birds, quick sip of water, and then coming back to the Indelible. If I didn't know I was drinking rum, I'd say somebody swapped out my rum for a bourbon.
Oh, bourbon. Oh.
Yeah. You're like, that's a bourbon, right? Which, look, if you drink bourbon or rye and you're thinking about getting into rums, go drink a few of the Foursquare exceptional casks. Go find somewhere to do a tasting and let that be your gateway drug into rum, because it is the most bourbon whiskey-esque rums out there, and they're really good. They're very distinctively rum, but yeah, that's that crossover bridge.
Funny universe as well.
Yeah. All right, so we've done 2, right? We've done a daiquiri, we've done the Jungle Bird, and then we're going an entirely different direction. So, Bruce, I blame you. So this is a drink called the Rittenhouse Daisy, and you may know the Daisy is a class of cocktails. You look at it and you go, I'm not entirely sure how this winds up being called a daisy, because, well, I mean, what's in a daisy? Well, a daisy is traditionally sour, usually lime, some sweetener, some simple sweetener like simple syrup or agave syrup, a couple ounces of spirit. Often you might think of, I don't know, tequila or mezcal, and an orange component, usually curacao or triple sec, right? Because what is margarita in Spanish? It's daisy, right? So a tequila daisy is nothing more than a margarita, right? So you're like, okay, so I know what I'm going to get with a Rittenhouse Daisy. It's going to be a margarita, swap the tequila for rye. And that is not what this cocktail is. It's very different. So we're going to see what we get here. But the other factor here is, when playing around and looking at recipes for this, the recipe that was sent to me uses an aged rum for this cocktail. And I scratched my head and went, I was reaching for my Rittenhouse rye until I realized it said rum. Why is it a Rittenhouse Daisy? And we scratched our heads like, I don't know. So we're actually going to do this as if it were a rye Daisy. So we're going to do same thing we did just a moment ago, where we're going to do 3 of them. But one of them is going to be with the original recipe, which is the original recipe that was sent to me, which is 2 ounces of an aged rum. We're going to use Dorley's 12-year. Dorley's juice comes from Foursquare. Should be fine. Should work out there. We're going to use Rittenhouse because I have a bottle of Rittenhouse rye. It's my standard rye. And then we're going to use Old Overholt, which is another rye. Comes in bottled in bond, same 100 proof as the Rittenhouse. And if you have checked out any of the articles that I've posted about like bartenders' favorite whiskeys and that sort of thing, Overholt and Rittenhouse are like, they're always up there. Those are the 2, right? That are in that price point of everybody can afford this, and they're good, really solid ryes. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do 2 ryes, and then we're going to do the rum version. So I will need dishes washed again, because I'm prolific in this way. While I'm doing that, I'm going to drink a very watered down now daiquiri. the banana comes through more as it sits. As it warms up, you get more banana. That's one of the problems with the daiquiri is that the daiquiri is so ice cold. Other things that you put in that don't tend to blossom, and if they're subtle flavors, you don't get them because it's just colder drinks don't have the same kind of flavoid components. They don't have the same olfactory components, which is why you traditionally serve white wine really cold, because warm white wine is nasty. Yep. And if you serve red wines, especially tannic red wines, ice cold, they just seize up on you, and all you get is the tannin. It's just like, yeah. This should be room temperature. You sit there with your hands around the bowl going, warm up, warm up, warm up, warm up.
I've done that. I've confirmed that Rittenhouse stays because it's so far from Philadelphia, which must be near Rittenhouse Square.
There we go. All right, that explains it. So, if you, yes, yeah. So if you didn't hear that, it's from the drink recipe is from a bar near Rittenhouse Square in Philly. At least, right?
I've never heard of it before. One Tiffany Place, Philadelphia. Dan Craig. Check that out.
Don't know, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. We just are. So we're gonna do 2 ryes. I've got the Overholt here. And
See, I thought you were going to use this rye.
I'm not going to use the Redemption rye because there's only so many ryes that I can make a cocktail with at one time. How's that? Because the Redemption rye is Caribbean cask, rum cask rye. Yeah. All right, so what are we going to do here? This is 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, and there's also pineapple juice in this cocktail. So instead of simple syrup, I'm going to use the pineapple oleo because, well, amongst other things, I need to use up my pineapple oleo. So there we go.
I thought he'd be using that.
3/4. There's 3/4. Right, we're starting off with the sticky ingredient first, right? The simple syrup. I might as well. I got multiple of these, right? I don't have to. There's the 3/4. This is the last cocktail we're going to do this evening. So, just letting you all know, it's going to be last call at some point. I do have to be at work tomorrow. Jeez.
That means I have to get up and drive you.
Yep. Yeah, no, I actually have to go into work tomorrow. There's a 1/2 ounce of lime juice. That's a 1/2
I
ounce.
saw that and said, I have to buy this.
So they're over there tasting the Redemption Caribbean cask rye. I gotta say, I am a fairly big fan of particularly rye that is aged in rum casks. Just that hint of the vanilla, sugary notes from the rum. They round off the spicy notes of the rye so nicely. I mean, it's not as good as the Basil Hayden Caribbean cask, which I thought about because they add a little blackstrap rum back into that. And I was thinking about using that for the Jungle Bird. And then I went, yeah, they don't make those bottles anymore. So, yeah, not doing that. All right.
Interesting.
1/2 ounce of pineapple juice. I'll give you obviously I will post the recipes. I always do. So there's 1/2 ounce pineapple juice. Wow, this jigger is sticking in my hand. 1/2 ounce. 1/2 ounce. So yes, there is a pop-up tiki bar in Delray, Virginia, and they are sandwiched right between Holy Cow and Pork Barrel, and owned by the same folk. They're doing their best with what they've got, right? They're working under the standards of an ABC state, so they're limited on what rums they can use. They're a pop-up. They need to hold down their labor costs and that sort of thing. So they're not making handmade grenadine, they're not making handmade orgeat, those sorts of things. So, go, expect to have a good time. If you're a tiki head, don't hold them to those standards, right? But just go, have a good time. My wife says, don't order the rum runner. But she's like, no, don't do that.
Blue Hawaiian was yummy.
What am I also doing? I'll say 3/4 ounce simple syrup, 1/2 ounce lime juice, 1/2 ounce pineapple juice, and then 2 ounces of the spirit. So in this case, far left is.
You know the Rittenhouse Daisy doesn't have rye.
Yeah, I know. But we're gonna try it because it says Rittenhouse, so we're gonna try
Well,
it.
we have. I will tell the Pippin place there, and they should put that on the menu.
Maybe.
Well, why don't we
Depends.
taste them
Yes.
first, and then we will.
This may be another one of those things where, maybe 1/4 ounce of something added to it would make this better. What am I putting in here? Oh, the doorleys, right? Doorleys. What did they do with the doorleys?
Is that the doorleys that you gave me in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Doorleys 12 year.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm making notes.
That you can get at Total Wine and more.
I have a friend who has like lots of half-finished bottles of seltzer and tonic, and I make a lot of drinks when I'm over there with these, and it's always much smoother. Plus, all the bubbles are fine, and it's not as in your face. And they're great drinks, but you can't reproduce them with the fresh bottle of tonic.
Right. Because they're too
Right.
Too sparkly.
Right. Too sparkly to your face.
Okay, so I need to put ice in these, and then I need to, that's right, the glasses that we're going to use should have ice put in them, crushed ice put in them. And we are going to use new glasses. So these two are from Inuhele, and this one is an archipelago, little goblet glasses. So I'm going to put some crushed ice in these. I'm going to ask my wife to get up again and find me some more ice cubes.
I'm sorry. Was that a request from me?
That is a request for more ice cubes. Wow, these guys take a lot of crushed ice. Whew. Let's see how this goes.
So
Okay.
I think the redemption. I would not have done it.
I usually don't think of crisp and clean as words I would use to describe rise.
That's why I'm like, what?
Like dessert scotch.
Susie Hazel says, I wish I wasn't allergic to pineapple. That sounds really nummy.
We're gonna hope. Alright, I'm actually going to dump some actual ice in there. Doop. We're gonna let that dilute a little as it goes. This.
For different reasons.
That was,
Where am I?
Why the flavor profile?
that was, Friar Tuck's machine. Vinegar.
Was it?
The wine ones I've never. Like the beers, it's kind of different, but when it was 100 years ago when Morangi did Bordeaux cask and a burgundy cask, and I just thought well, not for me, but
Yeah.
but you can taste all the finish. It has some kind of like dark breaking finish to it.
There's two. And then we're gonna scrape together the last bit of ice we have. Done. No more ice.
There's more in the freezer.
There is more in the freezer, and we have a freezer upstairs, so we're good. this is the one actually made with rum, which is the actual specifications for the cocktail. So this will hopefully be the best of the bunch.
Now, is it true that shaking with overproof spirits can like freeze your hands? You have to be careful.
Never had that happen, certainly.
I've heard if you're doing cocktails with like 151 and you're shaking them up, that because of the alcohol, it transmits the cold much faster.
I can't imagine because I mean, with all the other ingredients that you're putting in there, you're not dealing with, I mean, you're nowhere near 75% alcohol at that point. Okay, we're not done yet because each of these, so this cocktail requires a teaspoon of yellow chartreuse, not green chartreuse, yellow chartreuse, which we happened to pick up a small bottle of yellow chartreuse a month or so ago, and as you can tell, I haven't opened it yet. Like, what am I going to do with this? I don't know, but I'm going to do something with it. Well, now we know what we're going to do.
I'm in the minority, but I like the yellow. The yellow's a little mellower, it's a little lower in alcohol, and it's not, the green's a little more vegetal.
So you're just going to pour that on top for each of these.
I saw Dick Dale when he was in Philadelphia, so I'm like,
Cool.
Dick died 2020 or 2021. I don't remember, but it's been recent.
yeah, I saw him 20 years ago in Philadelphia.
And then, one last ingredient,
2019.
a singular dash of Peychaud's bitters. Okay, so it's going to be just there. And there we have it. We have the Rittenhouse Daisy, made with Rittenhouse rye, made with Old Overholt rye, so this one should just be wrong, and then made with Dourly's 12-year, which should be the rightest of the right. This should be the correct version of the cocktail. We will find out momentarily. Or, you know.
I want to see expressions. I think you guys should all go up, take your straws, and.
There's a Nobel Prize for cocktails.
Well, this is. I'm going to do the sandwich. Here we go. Stick right in the middle. We'll do that.
I don't like watching you or getting your feedback first, so.
So what are you shielding yourself?
She doesn't want Pooch's reaction.
I see. You're being very scientific and having a blind.
Yeah. Okay, the Rittenhouse.
Bad. So what's this one?
That's the Rittenhouse.
That's the Rittenhouse.
Okay.
That's the Overholt.
That's the Rittenhouse.
She's making faces.
It's very diplomatic.
Yeah.
It's a very diplomatic.
How very interesting.
Yes.
Well, this is a tiki cocktail.
Yes.
And these are also okay to drink, but
Yes.
this is like a tiki cocktail.
And I'm sorry, I actually like the Overholt because I actually almost feel like this tastes very similar to the rum. But
So, I like them in this order.
Really?
Yeah,
So you like the Rittenhouse?
He's Team Rye.
yeah,
I'm Team Rye.
Wow.
I think the rum gets a little lost in the
Does.
cocktail here.
That's
And
true.
Well, is this the one that was supposed to have blackstrap?
no, that's the Jungle Bird,
Bird.
right?
Okay.
No, this just said aged rum.
Just
Yeah.
aged rum.
My order would be it's actually very close between these two, so I'll say this one first, and then this one, and then that one. but it's very close with those two for me.
See, I think these two are much closer.
Well,
That was
But what do you
significantly
use?
different.
but she's getting cucumber out of the redemption.
I know,
So
right?
I don't know what's going on. Honestly,
Wipe out my.
Oh, you didn't get to see the facial reaction from Star. That's the
Overholt.
the Overholt.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she definitely prefers the Rittenhouse to the Overholt
Yeah.
in general. So at one point I said, when we were doing tastings of the Rittenhouse and the Overholt,
I like the rum and then the Rittenhouse.
And then she's like, not even.
and I said,
I
you
don't
know,
want anything to do with
the Overholt has a much more bready, yeasty, reminds me much more of like pumpernickel.
old
kind of-
school German.
Right, old school, yes, but very yeasty. And I
Right.
think Star's reaction was, "Oh, you mean like a yeast infection?" I was just like, "Yeah, she does
Don't know
not
if
care
that's-
for this ride."
Don't know if that's what they were going for.
I'm hoping not. Yeah,
I think
this is supposed to be garnished with a lime wheel, and I have a lime there and a knife. but-
no,
yeah. Or we
We're
could
good.
drop dehydrated lime
do.
peels to put in them. I'm not sure it's going to add
don't
anything to
think
either
it's
of these
gonna.
cocktails.
No.
And the glasses are pretty, so
Yeah, glasses are
let's
Well,
do that.
You know, if Amanda likes the
I'll take the Overholt.
yeah,
I'll
that
take the
one's
Overholt.
hers.
Okay, and the rum,
Well,
or
I'll split the rum with
Okay.
Star.
Yeah, I'll have some
or
of
do you
that.
want the Rittenhouse
Would you like
instead?
the? No,
I-
no.
okay, all right.
I think it's all a Jack Sprat thing here. We got our.
We've
our-
Jack Sprat. We've all gotten fat, right? Is that how that works? Yeah. All right. I'm out of ice. We've made our 3 cocktails for the evening. We've chosen up sides on the Battle of Rittenhouse Daisy and decided that we have nothing in common in terms of our taste buds. So we're gonna call it quits. Thank you very much for joining us for what was
Go ahead.
Quarantiki number 94.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 94. I think that was 94. I'm pretty sure the board said 92. We did 93 at Inuhele, so this
Yeah.
should have been 94 if I got the numbers right. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Carry
9,
the
10,
ones,
12,
carry
13,
five.
14. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So thanks again for joining us. Hope you had a good time. I know I had a good time. The folks here seem to have a good time. It may be a while before they're capable of driving, but we're all gonna.
We're on YouTube now.
Oh, we are on YouTube now. We've got 14,
17.
17 episodes, so you can like and subscribe, I guess, on
Yeah.
YouTube. We haven't had enough followers to be like to have our name. We're like some bizarre code, right? What's the code? It's like 762A quadruples X3
So
Niner
the one that
Echo something. Yeah.
17 that just dropped is the low ABV mocktails episode.
Wow. During quarantine, we actually did a low ABV episode.
Because I had my appendix out.
Oh, that's right. She couldn't drink because she had her appendix out. So, and I was probably nipping off behind the bar and like drinking 151 straight. Anyway, thanks again. We're going to sign off. Go drink some daggone good cocktails. This is Lovecraft Cocktails signing out. Ending the live video stream, and I never know when it actually cuts off after I hit the red button.